Hey, what's up guys? Alex here, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 bugs to have ever existed in Vainglory. Now, these bugs may have at some point existed or may even currently exist. And I do want to say before the video starts that this video is influenced by watching Jinko's channel. He's a Vainglory YouTuber and a really good one at that, and he does a lot of videos on bugs and weird interactions in the game, and he's an inspiration for all the bugs in this video as well as a lot of just the content that I put out on my channel. So I wanted to shout him out here. Definitely check out his channel in the description down below, or as a card in the corner of this video, or as an end card at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get into the bugs. Number 5 is Sky's cross map Shuri Strike. So for those of you that don't know, Sky can actually Shuri Strike across the map if she has the correct conditions. What she has to do is get a target lock on an enemy hero, minion, whatever it is, and then port back to base like she was just backing, right? But as that back goes through, she has to instantly, like at the exact moment that the back goes through, use her Shuri Strike to the location that she was at. And what that will cause her to do is actually port all the way back to base, have her body appear at base, and then have her body go flying across the map. Now, it's technically a cross-map Shuri Strike, but it's more of just a bug between the different inputs of the backing animation and her input of a Shuri Strike. Now, I can't say exactly how this bug works, but there are some things that are pretty cool about it. First, you can buy while you're back, and second, it's actually something that could technically be useful. The only big stipulation here is that while it can technically be useful, it's probably not, because the consistency on it is basically zero. It's impossible to pull off consistently, and that means that if you were to try and use it in a ranked match or something like that, it's just not going to work for you enough that it would be something that you might want to try and actually use competitively. So in the end of the day, this is more of just something that's cool to know about Sky and maybe something to do in like a private match, but nothing that could actually be useful in a ranked match. But that's number 5. Number 4 is Catherine's passive. So if you guys don't know, Catherine's passive actually goes up to 999. The game says that you can get infinite stacks of her passive. But if you get all the way up to 999 stacks and then you stun or silence somebody, you won't get another stack. And it's not just a graphical glitch either. It doesn't just show that you don't get another stack in the graphic of her passive. It actually doesn't give you any more armor or shield after that point. Her passive only stacks up to 999 armor and 999 shield, and past that point you get nothing, which means that there is a disconnect between what the game tells you her passive is, which is infinite, and what the passive actually is, which is only scaling up to 999 stacks. Now this is not really that important of a bug because you're never really going to get this in a realistic situation, but it's something to know and it's kind of interesting. Alright, so that is Catherine's passive, but number 3 is actually to do with Arden. So in patch 1.14, Arden could one-shot people basically. His gauntlet was crazy, insanely broken, and the reason for it was because the scaling for the CP ratio on it was actually a lot off. It was supposed to be in the hundreds and it was actually in the thousands. So what it caused the game to do is turn what would have been like a couple hundred damage into a couple thousand damage. It was one-shotting people left and right. It would do upwards of 10,000 damage, and it was basically just a bug with the ratio of the ability. So when it got fixed, the thing was completely fixed and it no longer exists in the game. But while it existed, you could instantly one-shot whole entire teams by hitting them with the Arden Gauntlet initially or having them walk into it unknowingly, because most people didn't know that the Arden Gauntlet was going to one-shot them, right? But what was really interesting is that this was actually in the game long enough that people developed counter strategies to it. So people started playing Catherine all the time, and what that caused to happen is basically with her bubble on, she could reflect all of the damage from the Arden Gauntlet back to the Arden and his teammates and instantly one-shot the Arden's team just by existing and like running into the Arden Gauntlet. It was kind of insane, and honestly, it's a really good thing that that got fixed because it was completely screwing up ranked matches until it did get fixed. And that was in patch 1.14, so a long time ago and probably never going to happen again. So that was number 3. Number 2 is Ozo's ult versus Idris's ult. Now this is still in the game and it's still really strange how it works, but basically the idea is that if you use an Ozo ult towards an Idris and Idris ults onto the Ozo once it's happening, Idris will go flying. Just like straight up in the air, he will go flying. I have no idea why this happens, but basically you can just like delete Idris from the game if you Ozo ult him and he tries to ult you. Now it should be noted that you will come back to ground. It's not like you just disappear from the game forever, but you definitely go up in the air for the entire duration of your ultimate, and honestly it's just really disorienting. Like if I was playing Idris and I did this to an Ozo and I just flew off the map for a second, I would have no idea what was going on, and whether it actually affected the gameplay at all would probably just depend on if I was willing to like set that aside and figure out what do I have to do now because my hero is like 1,000 feet in the air above the Ozo. It's really strange, and it's not something that is necessarily broken in the sense that it like deals damage or somehow completely breaks the game, but it does break the game for a moment, and it definitely disorients Ozos and Idrises who end up doing this to each other. So if you guys are going to do this, definitely do it in a private match, because in a ranked match it could really screw up a team fight. So that's number 2, but number 1 I think is the best glitch in the game. Now this is completely useless in any like realistic situation, but the idea is that if the gold mine kills a turret, it will shut down the game. It will break Vainglory. We're talking like the game literally just exits and you're done with that game. Why? I don't really know, but the idea is that if you push Goldmine all the way to a very low health turret with Finn and Lance, you can get the Goldmine to the turret, and then if the Goldmine gets the last hit on the turret, the game quits. The game will exit the app and you will just not get to play that game again. I don't know why this happens, but the idea is that you have to get the gold mine to kill the turret. So first off, you have to get the turret very low. Second off, you have to somehow pull the gold mine all the way to the turret without your enemy noticing. And then finally, you have to get the gold mine to target the enemy team's turret. So overall, this is just completely impossible to pull off in any realistic situation. But if you get it to happen, you will actually break the game that you were in. So I feel like this is the top of the bugs in Vainglory. Like this is the largest bug. While there are some that are maybe more impactful because they're more likely to happen, this is like the pinnacle of a bug because it's literally game breaking. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my list. I know that this list wasn't completely comprehensive and there's lots of other bugs that have or do exist in Vainglory, but I figured that these were some of the more interesting ones. So definitely tell me if you guys have any interesting bugs, and hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Now I will say that these are definitely bugs that you should test out in a private match and not a ranked or casual match, because you don't want to do this in one of the matches. In fact, if you do, there is a strong likelihood that you could get reported and actually banned from the game. So don't do that. Don't be those people, okay? Anyway, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.